Hi, I'm Bob Vila. Welcome to our storm-ready house here in Punta Gorda, Florida. Today we've got lots of interesting finishes going on. We have a masonry coating system that we're going to show you on the whole exterior of the house. Inside we're putting down the Porcelanosa Group's beautiful metallic finish tiles that go inside and out. And we're also putting in a pre-hung door and some special wall finishes. Tim McLaughlin is with us from Color Wheel Paints and Coatings. And, you know, keeping paint on a house in Florida or any place in the Sun Belt is often a challenge, right?
It is a big challenge. We live in a subtropical climate, and it's always tough on the paint film. And
it's the heat and the sun that causes the paint to fade and to crack and to chip and to flake and everything else. All these nightmares.
Exactly. All that, the UV rays, everything tends to break it down.
And what we've got on this house is it's essentially a latex product that we're using, right?
It is a latex product. It's a hybrid of an elastomeric. It's a high build system.
Okay.
Has flexibility and strength.
Okay. And if we look at this part of the house, it's in the finish coat, which is kind of a very appropriate terracotta or clay pot kind of color. And it works well with the Mediterranean theme of these Florida houses. And over on this side of the house, it looks like it's pink. Now, that's because it's the primer?
That's correct. This is the primer on this side. They do the primer first, and then the next day they come in and do the finish coat.
Why can't they prime with just the same exact color?
They could prime with the same exact color, but the reason we want to do that is to prevent any skips and holidays so the painter can see where he's been and make sure that he gets enough paint on the surface of the house.
So it's that simple?
Exactly.
Okay, now the surface that you've got here is a heavily textured stucco surface.
That's correct.
Or a cement. I think you can define it as being stucco, what, depending on the thickness?
Depending on the thickness, generally, if it's 7/8, it can be considered a stucco finish.
And if it's 3 coats? We have 3 coats
We
here.
get a 3-coat system.
Okay. My question is, how do you make sure that you're getting into all these nooks and crannies and cracks that are inherent in the finish?
Well, as you can see here, Bob, these guys are using an airless sprayer, and they're spraying it on a real heavy coat. And the reason they do that is to get the build off of the wall. Then the other gentleman is what we call wet back rolling, and the object of that is to make sure that he pushes the paint into all the nooks and crannies that's in the stucco surface.
Okay, that's simple enough. And he's using a thick textured roller.
Yes, he's using a 1-inch nap on his roller.
Okay.
You can use anywhere from 1 to 1 1/4 is a good size nap for this product.
That's lovely. Now, what kind of a sprayer is he using?
He's using basically what we call an airless sprayer. That paint is coming out at 2,000 PSI, pounds per square inch right now.
Right.
And I guess it's a Graco equipment, Graco sprayer.
Now, is this the kind of job that a do-it-yourself homeowner can contemplate, renting the spraying equipment and buying your products and stuff?
Well, they could certainly rent it, but we would have to, it's very important on safety issues that they're trained on how to use this equipment, because at 2,000 PSI, that can do a lot of damage to the skin. It can actually inject it into their bloodstream.
That's right. You can get killed with a paint spray.
Exactly.
You don't know what you're doing. Well, what's interesting to me about what you've been saying is the whole concept of the flexibility of the paint. What makes one brand of paint more flexible than another?
Well, it has to do with the resin, Bob. What we use in this particular product is a resin we call MP23. And basically, the resin and the monomers in the paint give it the flexibility that needs to stretch. And the elongation factor on our Flex Lox is 350%, so it has a stretchability of that much.
Okay. But what about fading? What keeps it from fading?
There's 2 major ingredients that keep it from fading. It's the 100% acrylic resin that's in the product, plus the titanium dioxide, a very good pigment for both hiding and longevity.
Okay. And then the other problem with masonry houses is kind of the penetration of damp, water infiltration through the masonry. How do you deal with that?
Well, basically, this product, what it will do because of the elongation factor, it will stretch. And anytime you get any kind of movement with the house, it'll kind of stretch over hairline cracks and things like that. And it'll prevent, in situations where we have these hurricanes come through, a lot of the water penetration came through cracks in the stucco.
So you've got a test that you can demonstrate.
Yes, we do.
Yeah, how does this work?
Basically, what these are, Bob, these are two rylem tubes that we have over some simulated stucco. On the left-hand side is a standard acrylic product. That's about 3 mils thick. And then on this side, on the right-hand side, we have our Flex Lox product, which is built up to 8 mils.
Wow, that's pretty thick. Now, this is basically a gauge that shows you that thickness in mils, right?
Exactly. This is what we call a wet mill gauge, and while they're applying the paint, we'll actually go in and measure how thick the paint is. These are graded scales right here, and what we're looking for is 10 mils wet, and since it's 50% volume solids, it dries down to 5 mils, and that's what we want, is the 5 mils.
Gotcha. So in your test here, which is your product and which is a regular?
Okay, on the left here is a standard acrylic house paint, and this is our product, but on the right is the Flex Lox product.
Okay, and you've got a crack in the masonry.
There's a crack in the masonry that runs from one side to the other.
It runs all the way across, although it's hard to see here because obviously the
Flex Lox is bridging the crack.
Yeah, and then what do? You fill these up?
Right, this is colored water, and first we'll put it in the side over here where we have the Flex Lox. And what this rylem tube indicates, this basically simulates 88-mile-per-hour wind-driven rain.
Just by that little head of
Just
pressure?
by that little head pressure on there.
And then on the other side?
On the other side, where we don't have the Flex Lox and we do have the crack, we'll fill this up. And as you can see, it'll go down rather quickly.
Well, it's coming out the side.
It's coming out
here.
the cracks.
It's just getting absorbed.
It's just blasting right through there. At 88-mile-per-hour wind-driven rain, it'll just blow right in there. And if you have a crack, Dr. Joe Stubrek made a statement one time that if you have a crack that's 15 feet long and just a hairline crack, think about it. If you wind it up into a ball, it's a hole in. Exactly.
That's great. All right, Tim. Well, it's a beautiful paint job. Thanks very much.
Thank you.
All right, we're going to be installing most fantastic porcelain tiles, right, Anthony?
Yes, it is.
Anthony Lopez is here from Porcelanosa, and we've worked with your products before. Tell me what we've got this time.
Well, this time we have here, this is called our Faroka series. And the Faroka series has an oxidized look to it. So it has that appearance.
It looks like
metal.
steel plate.
Exactly.
Absolutely.
Exactly.
But it is a porcelain tile.
Yes. It's a rectified through and through porcelain, manufactured for both interior and exterior purposes, especially for commercial facilities, museums, airports, shopping centers.
No, it's absolutely beautiful. And I can just see this also used in a vertical application.
Absolutely.
On exterior facades of big commercial buildings.
Yes.
Now, the interesting thing here is that it's very unusual for a Florida house. You come inside and all of a sudden you've got this steel-like look in the whole area. And you would think that it's a very exotic and expensive product, but what's the cost of this?
Well, the cost of this product on a retail level, you're looking approximately, in Florida, approximately $8 a square foot, which is quite comparable to your natural stones.
Right. And we're getting a little bit confused because we've got this border here, but these are the ones that are going to be used in the entrance foyer, and our installer, Luis, is already starting to put down the thin set with a notched trowel to lay down the floor tiles in the area that kind of is the front hall. It's the front foyer, but without walls in this kind of a design.
This glass inset is one of our Listello pieces that we manufacture through our L'Antique Colonial division. And it's all glassed with various shadings. And this particular one is called Listel Ice.
All right, so if you don't want to have the look of steel, you can also have the look of stone with some of these tiles, right?
That's correct, Bob. We have a variety of different types of stone looks. This particular one is called Piecentina. And these products, like I said, are utilized for especially commercial applications. And we have various shades, finishes, and textures and colors that are incorporated.
But these are just samples. They all come in these large format
That
tiles.
is correct. They're all in this larger format.
What are the dimensions?
This particular one here is 17 by 26. We also have 17 by 17 square. And depending on the type of project that we're involved with, we also can work out different size factors.
Well, look at that. So you can go into the kind of the look of travertines or lighter stones. All right, so in order to get the glass tile to be flush with the top of the porcelain tile. Because of the difference in thickness, he's had to build it up with several layers of the same underlayment. And so just getting this surround has taken the better part of an hour to get it just right.
Yeah, it is time consuming.
It's time consuming. You have to be very patient to take care of these little special details. And he's using a straight edge all the way around. And so this is the last little section.
And it appears as the reason why he's using the straight edge is to make sure that the end portion of where the glass is, where nothing is adjourned to it at the moment, is nice and straight. So when he continues to floor, that too butts up to it nice and straight.
That's a very good observation. Okay, and then washing off the excess, which always gives you such a nice idea of what the finish is going to look like. Now, how do they make this metallic finish on the porcelain tile?
Well, actually, it's within the glazings itself. Porcelanosa has devised a lot of unique formulas in creating their tiles. With over 30 years of manufacturing, they've been able to become a world leader in creating products.
Is there actually a mineral content within the glaze? Or?
Yes, absolutely. There are formulas within and pigments within the glaze itself that actually melts in and blends into it to create that natural look.
Okay. All right, so again, we're building up the thin set to about a 1/2 inch thickness, right?
That's correct, on the Listello piece, so this way it blends in really nice with the tile.
And then what are these little things, these spacers?
Those spacers are there just in case there's any imperfections in the slab itself. If there's, due to the fact that it's a rectified product, if there's any humps in a product and it pinches out, you'll have big grout joints, and if there's dips, they'll pinch together, which will give you uneven grout joints.
So you have to be really precise with this size format.
Exactly. Yes.
And so the space is the equivalent of about maybe not quite an 1/8 of an inch, right?
That's correct. The product is manufactured on a rectified basis where there's very minimal error on the production at all, and which allows us to install the product with a minimal grout joint.
And what we're going to see now is where the next course lies in relationship to these first two, because what we're going to be establishing is a kind of a running bond.
That's correct. What he's doing here is also somewhat of a brick pattern, or a stagger pattern, as some may call it.
Oh, it's a staggered pattern.
Yes,
then.
it is.
Okay. So he's marked the offset from that joint, and it's just about 6 inches.
Right, and he's going to follow suit throughout the rest of the premises.
Exactly. That'll be a very contemporary look. Now, we're in one of the bedrooms here, and yesterday we took a look at how they create this kind of textured finish on the drywall. Watch. Doug Frueh is our drywall contractor, and now that we've got all the dense armor in place, the finish here is not just like joint compound or something. It's a spray on, what's it called?
It's called Magnum, Bob. It's a dry powder product,
Okay.
a lot like what we used on the wall to tape the walls.
Right. So being that it's a dry mix, you don't have to worry anything about at all in terms of mold and mildew growth on it.
No, it's not the same as like a joint compound where it's a wet mix.
All right.
This works a lot better.
Here comes the installer.
Okay.
So it's
all the noise.
right.
There you can see it's actually just spit on the wall.
From that distance.
Yes.
Now, how long does it need to dry or set up?
It's only a couple of minutes. It's a short time that it just needs to harden on the wall, because the drywall itself will kind of absorb some of the moisture.
And then you trowel it?
This trowel is a flexible plastic trowel, and they'll just take over it and flatten it down for the knockdown finish.
So it's a knockdown finish is what you call it.
Correct.
And it's really fast and furious.
Yes,
Great.
they can
Thanks,
do a
guys.
whole house in just a couple hours.
Terrific.
Yeah.
So we'll be putting a finish coat of paint over all these walls. But right now, let's meet Jim Trottier, who is here. And
How you doing, Bob?
your outfit is hanging all the doors in the house.
Yes, sir.
Probably do 2 houses a day, right?
Yes, come in, hang all the doors, do the baseboard.
Yeah, all the trim. So what we have here is really an oversized door. How tall is it?
8 foot. 8-foot door.
And they call it the Cremona model because I guess it has that little flare at the top.
Yep.
But it's a hollow core.
Yes, sir. Yep.
All right. And then it's pre-hung and it comes with a colonial molding.
Yep. Pre-cut headers and legs. So I'll usually just nail these on.
All right. Why don't you go ahead and get started, Jim, and I'll be glad to hold something up if you need a hand. So you're just
pin them on. This just makes it easier to hang the door. Keeping the reveal the same all the way down.
right.
Come on. Do the same thing on this side. And I'll switch guns.
Yep.
This is a pinning gun, and then switch it up to a bigger nail gun.
So what size nail will you use to shoot the jams through?
2-inch.
2-inch, yeah.
Notice.
And this is hinged on the left, and the door will swing into the room.
Right hand swinging door. And that just come off. Great. All this. I always put level on the door like that and make sure it's plumb.
Yeah. And then you're pinning it.
I'll shoot one in there like that, and then I'll come out to this side. What I want to do is keep that reveal all the way
Right.
the same. It's what your goal is. I know I can get what I need up top, and then I'll shoot this side off. And it's just a matter of working that side down, getting the reveal what you want.
But you got brand new walls, and they're pretty plumb, so you don't.
Yeah, it makes it nice like that.
No shimming required.
When you get on the other side,
Yeah.
then I'll usually carry them already cut.
Already cut, so you just fit them in.
Shim them behind each hinge. That way they keep the door from moving around and everything. I always put them behind each hinge. Well, can I close that door? I like to.
Certainly. Absolutely. Let's test it out here. Looks good to me. Thanks, Jim. All right. Well, he's making progress. There you have it. And it does look very, very much like a metallic finish. Now, what kind of maintenance do you have to give it?
Actually, Bob, on any of porcelain, also ceramic and porcelain products, you could just clean it with any natural floor soap detergent.
So it's basically mop it down and you're done.
Exactly.
Great. Anthony, thank you so much.
Thank you.
We're running short on time. Next week, we'll be showing you a concrete staining technique, building our soffits, and putting in duct insulation. Till then, I'm Bob Vila.